Okay. But are we recording? Yes. Okay. So, religious personality syndrome. Oh, I don't know. This video is not really about that. I just made it up, and now I'm trying to figure out what that would be so I could try to gloss over the fact that I made that up. What started out as my morning in my tent, in my bed rant, with my coffee. My gold, you see my little globe there, is between my squishmallows, and I'm in a tent in my bed. All right, and I'm thinking about religion, and I feel like I suddenly figured out what it is. Okay. For a while, I had been calling sin by an acronym SAT, survival at any cost. Now I have decided that religion is survival at any cost. I did not make this up. I got this from a book. Richard Swartz, Internal Family Part Systems. He explains that your left hemisphere comes up with stories, and it will tell any story it has to tell because the left hemisphere has no concept of what objective truth actually is. It only knows you surviving in your environment at any cost until the next day. Whatever that means. So your left hemisphere tells stories that keep you alive to the next day. Because your left hemisphere has been charged with this concept that survival at any cost will justify the story, even if the lies have to be made true, or there's no such thing as truth, or some such thing like that. In the internal family part system, your right hemisphere has emotional parts that tell a somatic story of feelings. They're always telling the truth when they give you their feelings, but the story you attach to the feelings always has some kind of lie in it, because the left hemisphere can't tell a story without filling in the gaps, which means it always lies. It can't help it. Religion is survival at any cost. It is your left hemisphere creating stories to keep you alive to the following day, because staying alive is the highest value. Survival at any cost is the definition of both sin, and it's the definition of religion. Both. Because that's all religion is. Survival at any cost. Your left hemisphere creating a story to keep you moving forward no matter what the price. No matter what the cost, no matter what. Religion is not a church building. It is not a group of people. It is not a specific belief system. Religion is whatever you believe to get through the day. It is your left hemispheric, apparently normal personality parts coming up with a reason that makes sense to you to keep you alive. That's it. A story to keep you alive. No wonder there's no grand descriptions of heaven anywhere in the Bible. Because the whole damn thing's about keeping you alive. There would be absolutely zero encouragement. It makes sense. Oh, I'm just picking my nose. Chewing it, chewing it. Everybody's doing it, doing it, doing it. Picking their nose and chewing it, chewing it. They're making a bubble gum maybe out of synthetic boogers to save people's teeth enamel. I read in a paper article. That's why I started saying that I no longer have any commitment to a belief I had yesterday or what belief I'll tell you I have tomorrow. Well, isn't it strange that people change their belief systems throughout their entire life? How convenient. What about Christianity? You can take a religion and look at it over the course of its lifetime, and you can be like, oh, it's anti-slavery here and it's pro-slavery here. Religions and people change their fucking opinion on everything, every day, all the time. They just try to pretend like they don't. Lies. Well, because if it's the lie that's going to keep you alive, then it's the lie you needed that day. If atoms make everything else, so to speak, then I guess it's all lies in the left hemisphere by trying to keep you alive in the alive, then you know, I often just think, I remember when I wasn't just into philosophy. And I just felt like myself. And I came up with a new religion, and it's one that gives me much more pleasure than Christianity. You guys want to hear it? I don't know if you can, if this one, I don't think my religion is ever going to work for you. You're going to have to come up with your own. Alright? I'm going to share it with you, but I do not want you to try to adapt it. Well, you can adapt it, your own version of it to your own self, but you can't do my version. Well, I mean, what if they accidentally did one day? You wouldn't hate them for it, but I'm not encouraging that. No. Well, you can't take it away. Okay, here it is. The human brain undergoes a lot of changes between the ages of 17 and 19. The human being's experience of life between 15 and 25 is at basically the peak that it's ever going to hit. The way that I suspect that when humans were not a domesticated species, that this wasn't the case. But what happens is that your brain leaves, it's kind of like having non-coding DNA. Like your brain leaves all these like options open, and your brain open till you're like 17 or 19. And then it kind of like takes in like what kind of environment you're in and what it thinks you're going to be able to use. And it gets rid of all that shit. All the awe, the wonder, the stuff that makes life worth living. The human mind prunes the vast majority of it after the age of 17 or 19 because we live in a domesticated situation. If we were not living in a domesticated situation, if we were wild and we were like able to go after even maybe the stars, right? Then like we wouldn't get downgraded. Our bodies wouldn't sense our environment and downgrade our neural pathways and prune off the ones that are the most enjoyable just to make us into a worker bee on a prison planet. Or maybe they're doing it because the knowledge would be too painful, or just because we wouldn't have any use for it. That's not good, not acceptable. I don't hate other people. That was a good old fart I had there. That's what I thought. I don't dislike the people that I've met since then, but I'll tell you this. I choose myself. at 17 or 19 years old, because I didn't have any religion back then. My mind hadn't been pruned to incorporate this fucking domesticated prison planet. And actually, believe it or not, my finances, I've been writing poetry since I was 7. I've been working for a long time, actually, by then, believe it or not. My finances, my friends, my poetry, my work, my money, everything was pretty much in good order at that time, believe it or not. I know that sounds really, and my spirituality, my presence, or whatever you want to call it, was better. So what happened was I met Christianity afterwards, and it all went downhill. And I'm not kidding. Friends, finances, and artistic expression, everything went downhill. And yeah, some stuff happened, but it was nowhere near the same level. And when I look at it, I go, my God, like I went offline. And that's what being a Christian is. It's going offline. And some people need it to survive. Maybe the world is so traumatizing, they become a neurotypical and they need Jesus because survival is all that matters, and if it keeps them alive. But if you're one of those people where Christianity makes it where like, hey, I was alive and I was doing better in every single aspect of my life before you, you're a thief, Jesus. You fuck with people's finances, their nervous system health, their relationships, their friendships, their family. You fuck with their fucking like their art. You do not add anything to anyone's life. You only take the goddamn piece of shit you are unworthy to be called a fart. I'll make religion out of myself before I ever met your sorry ass. And you can scream diarrhea, diarrhea, as you slide into third and you felt a juicy turd. No. Not at all. That's what I realized, is that religion is used to nullify other people's feelings without conversation. And when I realized I could make myself, my own religion, myself at 17, my religion, I realized I could just nullify everybody else's feelings. Would I have cared about that at 17? No. Would what you have thought bother me at 17? No. Yeah, but since it's my religion, it's unholy and unrighteous for me to care about what you think of me. In fact, you know how there's that scripture, now that I know the Bible, I can just apply all of it to me. But not the whole thing. Not the whole thing. Only the parts I like, and only when I want to. So like, let me give you an example. Casting down every thought that exalts itself, right? So like, if my new religion is myself at 17, then any thought that tries to exalt itself against the way that I think and feel at 17 is by nature not only wrong, but sinful, dirty, and reprobate, and deserving of ultimate punishment in hell forever. In my religion. Cast down, reprobate. Because my religion is more important than Christianity. And Jesus is a usurper, and you're dead meat. I don't give a fuck about your stupid religion. No, that's actually wrong. When I was 17, I didn't care if people went to church all day long. It didn't bother me at all. I'd even stop and talk to you, but I was never going to become one. I didn't want to be you. But it's not that because I wasn't like, didn't think you wanted to be you. It's just, you're doing your thing, whatever. I'm not a concern. I take religious people on an individual basis. You see how quickly sanity comes back when I go back to 17? See, if I talk from my trauma, I'll be like, I hate all religious people. If I go back to 17, it's an individual basis. It might not be religious tomorrow. It's whatever. Think about it. You're a man out there, perhaps you're watching this. Think of yourself at 17. What would be wrong with you at choosing yourself at 17 or 19 years old and making that your new baseline for the rest of your life? I thought about it, and I thought of an old man, and I thought of an old man getting to like 90 years old and holding his baseline. If the person he was at 17 or 19 was like, I guess it would depend on who you were. Because for one group of people, 17 or 19 is going to be, but I think for a lot of men, I saw this Marine, okay? He was probably 60 years old, but his body language and everything else, when I first looked at him, I thought he came off like a 23-year-old kid, like really young. And we were charging our cars, so I had like a long time to look at him, and I realized that he was coming off between 17 and 23. And he was like 60, and he had all, like, even though he, clearly retired from the military, was responsible enough. Well, he had an electric car. I mean, how responsible is that? But a lot of people do it anyway. And the thing is, looking at him, I realized that, like, he was better off than most of the men I've seen. I never even spoke to him the whole time we were at the electric car station. But my Uncle Jerry was like that too. Never progressed a day past probably 17 or 19. And if you think about it, you have the skill set you need to be a decent human being at 17 or 19. I've never known anyone who was decent who became more decent after 17 or 19. Ever. A person who's decent never gets more decent after that age. A person who's, all you can do is maintain. That's the best you can ever do. And in my opinion, you're not going to exceed it. You're not going to exceed it. Your teenage self, no, because your teenage self is already limitless. Is already is limitless. So you're not going to exceed that limitless, endless horizons that you have when you're a teenager. No. All the pruning that happens in the brain after 17 or 19 years old is just to make you a model citizen in a domestic environment. So your best bet is, and even people who are highly fucking successful, like, who give off that vibe, like, who else can I say gives off that vibe? Most people, I am thinking of people, I just don't want to mention their names. Most people that I consider to be, what I consider success is basically holding on to being 17 or 19, no matter what age you are. It doesn't matter your age. Never give up. People are going to be like, borderline personality disorder people, though, sometimes they don't get their shit together until they're older. I don't know. No comment on them. I don't know. All I know is that even the people I know who are borderline, I've never known anyone. I've never met anyone in my life that I liked more past the age of 19. Not even one person. Name one. Yeah, but you're going to try to bring up people I didn't know at 19. You have to bring up someone that I knew at 19. Anyone I've ever known as a teenager that I knew when they were older, that didn't, if they held on to their teenagerness their whole life, then fine. But, like, you don't get more responsible than a 17 or 19-year-old, just so you know. The only thing you get is more stiff and more boring. "17 and 19-year-olds are already fucking way more responsible and way more noble than most people in their 30s. Yeah. Because they have the curiosity and the passion. No. Fuck that shit. My religion is myself at 17. Sometimes I bring it up to 19. I realized if other people did it too and they were just on their own shtick like that, it wouldn't bother me one fucking bit. And I realized for a lot of people, it'd probably be really good for them. Of course, there'd be those who'd abuse it. Well, what I realized was the people who would abuse it, like that you wouldn't really want them to use this religion, they have Christianity. And it keeps them busy and hopefully it keeps them guilt-ridden. And I'm starting to realize that once you realize that Christianity is an appropriate place for people who would otherwise be causing so much unmitigated trouble that who cares, you'll stop trying to pull them out of Christianity. Because you'll realize that anybody who's in Christianity is such a dipshit that you wouldn't want them on your team. If they can't get out on their own, you don't want them on your team. Okay, let me explain it. I'll put it this way. I thought about it this way with coronavirus. This should really explain it to you. I thought about it with coronavirus and I was like, okay, we have an overpopulation issue on Earth. All right. Now, what if the coronavirus, mainly what it does, let's just speculate. And I'm not saying that it does this at all, but let's just pretend in a totally fictitious universe that it was in a couple hundred years going to make people who took it sterile. Let's just say. Okay? Maybe not even right away. Maybe it's a multi-generational thing. It needs like 5 generations to stack up, and it's not even this generation. It's like you're gonna have to get these kids, and then we'll have we'll have more sterile people or something. Maybe it's something like that. So let's just pretend for a minute that it is. The coronavirus vaccine gets out there, and they tell the public, you need this vaccine that we've never tested before, and you need it now, even though we've tested other ones for 20 years or 5 years, but this one, immediately. Now, here's the sad thing. Anyone who takes that without thinking about it probably shouldn't have kids. These are people that you want them to enjoy their quality of life, and you don't want them to multi-generationally have kids anyway. Because if you were not cautious and scared enough of the government telling you any fancy new story any random day, there's the thought that your children are better off not being born. Because you've reached a level of idiocracy to which if you do have children, they'll just be little slave bots that will be mistreated by the populace, and to protect the world from being even more abusive than it already is, it's probably best that you were sterilized by the... Oh, what? Did I have all my hands, all my thumbs up were taken away, and my viewers? Good. I feel actually really good about that right now. That so doesn't bother me. Yeah, like, so the same thing goes. Like, if you are so abusive that you can't see through Christianity, maybe no one should tell you, and maybe the majority of people who are Christian are better off left there, because the reality of the situation is the ones that are there disassociated may not have the structure to get out, and the other ones, it keeps them corralled in an area so that you don't have to worry about them.